Before Melody created this show, and I mentioned to a few people I was going to be interviewing you again, and there were a lot of questions about her ownership of this. Where does she stand as far as, royalties, franchise, all those things that are happening, we see happening. And I won't hit you with those questions because that may not be something that you know all the details to. So I'm going to stick to the things that I believe are your expertise. And one of those is that you raised an amazing young lady as a daughter. But before she created Love and Merge Huntsville, she was an educator. So how vital was education in your home? And how would you describe your involvement as a parent in their education, K through 12?
Education was very important, in our home because, we were always taught that's the way you were going to get ahead in life, was to make sure that you got an education. And I've shared, a lot that when I graduated from high school and I went to college, I was going to be the first person in my family, as far as my brothers and sisters, to go to college and graduate. I got pregnant and I had to come out, but once Melody got to an age where I was able to go back and get a degree, I did that. And when Melody was growing up, we sat at the table and did homework together. I was all the ways that parent that was at every function at the school. I would volunteer, for field days and stuff like that. And I remember one time Melody, she came to me, I think she must have been like in the 5th grade by this point, where kids, they start getting their identity and they want to know, why does my mom have to be here all the time? And she came to me and she said, why come you have to volunteer for everything? And so, I realized, okay, maybe I don't need to volunteer for everything. She's sort of past that stage where she feels like, why does my mom have to be here chaperoning everything, But she was easy, to keep on track. She was really good with her studies. It came natural to her. She didn't have to do a lot of studying to make an A. So in that aspect, I saw a lot of me in her when it came down to that. She was always, in different organizations and things in school, and I pushed her to sort of be in things that taught leadership because I wanted her to be a leader and not a follower. I wanted her to be in a position where she was able to think for herself and not succumb to peer pressure. And I was just very fortunate that some of the things that I encouraged her to get involved in, she was actually interested in being in. There were some things, that I would encourage her to be in that she just wasn't interested in. She tried and she wasn't interested in, and that was fine. But I wanted to make sure that I gave her every opportunity and every tool that she needed to be successful in life. And that's just the way we handled that.
How did you feel when she decided to attend an HBCU?
I was okay with it because I didn't want her to go to a local college. Mm-hmm. I sort of wanted her to go out and sort of, see what the world was like, so to speak. But it was so funny because when she got the full ride to Alabama A&M, she goes off to college. She had to stay her first year in the dorm. But what was so interesting to us is that she would come back home, and all of a sudden, her mindset would be different. The things that we had taught her growing up, even some of the faith-based things that we had taught her growing up. She would come home and we'd have conversations with her, and it would be sort of contrary to what we knew we had grew her up believing. And so we quickly realized, okay, she's in college, she's meeting other people with different ideas, different opinions, and all of this stuff. But we got to keep having these conversations with her for her to know, no, this is what we believe. this is what you've been taught, and it's okay to get the knowledge of what other people feel, but always know where your foundation is. So that was probably the only thing that, sort of made us say, whoa, whenever she went off to college to the HBCU. It's because all of a sudden she was coming back with all these ideas and all of these theologies about stuff, and we're like, where did this come from? But she eventually, found her way back to her foundation. And, I always say you can't have a civilized conversation with someone unless you're willing to see where they're coming from. So I think she had to experience what other people thought and other people's opinions about certain things to truly be true to the foundation that she had. So it was interesting. We would have some interesting conversations.
It typically happens. My sister had a 4-ride scholarship, swimming scholarship to Alabama A&M, and I was in